Hello, I'm your host, Dennis Dostert. Today we'll be discussing a proposed project for Guilford and surrounding communities called the Shoreline Greenway Trail. Today we have with us Pam Simons and Milton Charlton, co-chairs of the Guilford Town team of the Shoreline Greenway Trail. Pam, can you give us some background on the overall project?
I certainly can. Our dream was to create a recreational biking and hiking trail on the shoreline. It was conceived in 2001 to address the fact that there is absolutely no trail for bikers in the whole shoreline, and also to create a safer biking route for bicyclists. It's hard to face the fact, but in 2012, 4 bicyclists were killed in Connecticut and 2010 cyclists were injured. So we need a safe biking trail in our shoreline. And right in Guilford is where we had the very first meeting to talk about this on back porch and to look at what we could do together to create this dream. We spent an entire year talking to different town officials in our 4 towns to get their support, which they gave to us with public proclamations. And then we talked about how to develop the structure of the organization, the idea of having a town team in each of the 4 towns of East Haven, Brantford, Guilford, and Madison that would be completely in charge of determining where the route goes in their town. And it took us about a year to have our very first public meeting to test the public's interest in having this trail. And it was wonderful. It was pouring rain. It was April. And about 150 people came, and there was a very enthusiastic response to the concept. So we knew that we were on the right track. We were lucky enough to get a National Park Service consultant for 3 years who helped us move along and move forward with our dream. We're all volunteer. We have no paid staff. We're all very dedicated. And our mission is to create a 25-mile-long biking and hiking trail that goes from Lighthouse Park in New Haven through East Haven, Brantford, Guilford, and Madison to Hammonasset State Beach Park, which is very exciting, a dream. We want it to be an aesthetically pleasing trail. We are hoping that it will be 10 feet wide as much as possible. It'll be environmentally sensitive. It'll be a scenic trail going through the woods, across beautiful marshes, taking in wonderful vistas across the 3 rivers between our 3 towns. And as I said, of course, we want to build a safe trail. It's going to be an amazing resource for people of all ages. We're very excited about it. In these last 12 years, we've accomplished a great deal. And it's going to make our communities more accessible to bicyclists who will be able to go to town centers, will be able to go to railroad commuter lots. We hope to connect at all those points. And I think the bottom line for me is that we're building a legacy that's going to be wonderful for all of our grandchildren in our communities.
Well, that's wonderful. And Milton, the Greenway trails often follow disused railroads or road beds. What's the case here?
Unfortunately, Dennis, in this case, we do not have an existing right-of-way. Like, for example, the Farmington Canal Trail, or like the Airline Trail in northeastern Connecticut. In this case, we're having to work cooperatively with the towns, the land trusts, private landowners, in order to try and create a route that we can use for the 25-mile trail that is proposed. This sounds like an extremely daunting task, and it is a very daunting task. But amazingly enough, we are having quite a lot of success. And to date, we have nearly half of the whole route approved. So we have been finding ways to work with the towns and landowners in order to make progress. It's an ongoing process, and we're continuing to work to identify the routes through the towns. We've already got almost the entire route in East Haven approved. a very large proportion of the route in Branford approved, and we have built the segment beginning at the eastern end in Hammonasset State Beach Park that will begin to bring the trail from the eastern end to meet with the sections of trail that have been developed from the western end. One of the great assets that we have already developed is a parking area at the eastern end in Hammonasset Beach State Park that is dedicated to the use of the Shoreline Greenway Trail. And that first 1 mile segment that has been built in Hammonasset is seeing a great deal of use already. It's a very lovely trail through the woods just at the edge of the beach park there. And we're very pleased to say that the very first segment in Guilford is now under development. We're working with the town to get approval from the state for building a section on the right-of-way owned by the state adjacent to Route 1 between the East River Bridge and Boston Street. And that will be the first segment in Guilford, and we're really excited about that.
That's good. And how is it, Pam, how is this trail, how is it being funded? How is it being paid for?
Well, we're a nonprofit organization, and we've developed a lot of supporters over the years. We have almost 3,000 families who support our work, so their donations are essential. We've also, I think it's kind of interesting, since we're Guilford Town Team Chairs, we have over 900 members in Guilford, and in fact, we receive the most money from our donors from Guilford residents, so that's very pleasing. We've applied for and received a federal grant, several $1,000,000, with the help of our congressional leaders, and then the state legislature, with the help of our local representatives and senators, were able to provide the match with a grant of $600,000 for the federal grant. So that's been essential to getting started with actual physically constructing the trail, since that costs a lot of money. And we've had fundraising events. We've been the lucky recipient of monies raised through the annual Run the Gauntlet race at Hammonasset in September. And recently in Guilford, we had a zero energy house tour that we were lucky enough to be a recipient of $3,000 from that event that just happened over Halloween weekend. We'll never have enough money. This is a very, very large project, and we will be constantly seeking support from all sorts of resources to get the money we need to actually finish it.
What's planned in Guilford, Mill?
Well, the first segment for Guilford is under development, as I said. We're working with the first selectman, Mr. Mazza, and with the town engineer, Jim Portley, and the assistant town engineer, Mark Damiani. And we've identified a section from East River Bridge up to the junction of Boston Street, which is also Route 146. And the trail is going to be adjacent to the road, but completely off the road. It will provide us a way to get across the East River, which is a very important objective, so that we can connect to Madison on the east side. And also brings us up toward the center of town in Guilford. And we've been, the town of Guilford has been very cooperative. The town engineer's office is developing the preliminary plan that has been sent to the state for comments, and we've already had the many consultations with the landowners along the route there, and we found lots of support among the homeowners there. No one seemed to object, and there was even a town informational meeting in August where a number of people participated, and there was a great deal of support. So we're making progress in pushing that process forward. It's now with the state for approval. Well, actually, at this point, the town engineer is working on the final design, having completed the preliminary design, and then it will go to the state for approval. And then hopefully we'll be able to let bids and perhaps begin construction sometime in 2015.
And you talked about what was planned in Guilford. Is it a sidewalk that's planned?
No, in fact, as the town engineer made clear in that meeting in August, it's not a sidewalk, it's a trail. It's going to be 10 feet wide, most of the length of what's been designed. It may be 8 feet wide for parts of it because the state right-of-way gets narrow in certain places, but it's going to be a chip seal surface with gravel finishing surface, and it will look very much like the trail in other parts in the woods and so on. And it will not be like a sidewalk, something where the homeowners will be responsible for maintenance, clearing the snow in the wintertime and so on, but rather the town, as a condition of the federal grant, which is being used in this case, assumes responsibility for maintenance.
And how will the trail cross the rest of Guilford to connect with Branford?
Well, that remains to be determined. There was a preliminary study done some years ago that looked at some of the possible routes, but they were unable to come to final conclusions about the best way to get across Guilford because of various obstacles at that point. And so what we will do is work with the town after we get this first segment underway. We'll work with the town to identify more segments for crossing Guilford, hopefully off-road as much as possible. The idea of the Shoreline Greenway Trail is to be a scenic trail. And so we're hoping to keep it off-road as much as possible, but it may have to be on some streets, some of the city streets, some of the time. It remains to be determined how we'll get all the way over to Branford.
And while all that's underway, are there any trail-related activities already available to Guilford residents?
Absolutely. For 8 years now, we've been having the first Saturday of every month either a walk or a bike ride in one of each of the 4 towns. They take the date by rotation. So 10 o'clock, the first Saturday of every month, you can go on our website, or if you're a member, you'll receive a postcard spelling out all the different events that are scheduled. Dogs are welcome as long as they're on a leash. And we've seen people of all ages. We've seen people in wheelchairs using the trail on these first Saturday walks. We've seen people with walking sticks. We've seen children, grandparents. It's just been delightful. They're obviously open to the public. And we've used these first Saturday walks to also explore some other trails because, as you know, our trail isn't finished yet, so you can't go on the entire trail without stopping. Another important activity, of course, is volunteering, which we all do. Now that we have our first section underway in Guilford, we are seeking volunteers to get more activities. And of course, people can always volunteer to help the trail. We're an all-volunteer organization, whether you are leading a group, whether you are coming up with an event idea, whether you want to just be someone who goes in and spends an hour doing something, cleaning trails, clearing trails. There's a great variety. We've had Boy Scouts who've made our kiosks in several towns. There's just innumerable activities that we need volunteers to help with. In Guilford, we had a fun event in the fall, and we got about 25 people to bike and walk in the Guilford Fair Parade. And we also had a family donate their Jeep which they drove completely festooned with our wonderful signs and photographs. And it was a delightful event. We had a great time doing it. And then we had about 20 of our Guilford volunteers helping at the Zero Energy House Tour, including Milton, who stood out in the rain to help park cars. And that was a lot of fun.
As the Norwegians say, there's no such thing as bad weather. There's only inappropriate clothing. I was ready for that rain.
And then we have a couple events that we're exploring for the spring. We're hoping to hold in Guilford, or even with the Brantford team, a kids' bicycle safety rodeo, it's called. It's a great fun thing. It happened in Brantford last year with several partner organizations for kids ages 5 to 10, and they had to do an obstacle course, and the police were there talking to them about safe biking, passing out our bicycle safety bookmarks that we've produced. So we're hoping to do that maybe with Brantford and even with Madison this spring. So we're looking for volunteers to help with that. That takes a lot of planning, and it should be a lot of fun. And then we're also going to try and pull together all these bicyclists who might be interested in being on a Shoreline Greenway Trail bike team for an event in New Haven in late April, which is a bike ride from East Rock to West Rock called Rock to Rock. Should be a lot of fun. It will be great exposure.
So this is going to be continuous then?
It's definitely continuous. Lots of events.
New events every year?
All the time. Just as creative as we can be.
Okay.
Yes.
And do you have any further comment on?
Well, only that, just to reiterate about the first Saturday walks, people have been coming out regularly in groups of 10, families come and we make up groups of 15, 20, even more. And the walks or bike rides on the first Saturday of every month are lots of fun and a wonderful event for the whole family to participate in. And they happen all through the year. So there's always something going on involving the Shoreline Greenway Trail that you can participate in. And we look forward to having more people come out and be part of our growing organization.
And you can find out all about this by going on your website.
To the website, exactly, which you can find easily on Google. Just Shoreline Greenway Trail on Google, and then it will lead you right to the website.
And I think we want to finish, Dennis, by emphasizing that Milton and I are the co-chairs of the Guilford team, which we're going to be starting having monthly meetings this winter to brainstorm together what we can do, what events we can run, and how to find the next route for the trail and plan new activities. And we need Guilford residents to come and participate in that and join us. So you can call me at my home number 453-2271. Or you can email us at guilford@shorelinegreenwaytrail.org. We'd love to see you, and we'll notify our membership of these meetings as soon as they're scheduled.
Anything to add?
I think that's it.
Okay. So thank you very much for both of you for coming in and telling the people of Guilford, helping the people of Guilford understand what your project is, and something to look forward to, I think, for everyone.
It's going to be a great asset for all of the shoreline communities,
Yeah.
and all the families who need a safe walking and biking destination, and one that will really create an enjoyable recreational possibility for the people here.
So the impossible dream is happening.
It is happening. So thank you, Pam Simons and Milton Charlton, and thank you, people of Guilford, and have a good day. Goodbye.